Good morning.
That was perfect. That was perfect. Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I would have only expected perfection from you, Matt. You're amazing. So,
We're going to
yeah,
talk about, yeah, I don't think that will ever happen again exactly like that. So we're going to jump right into the stats, Kelly, because we start on time. You good with that?
I'm start on time, and on time. I love it.
I love it. All right, we're going to start with Fulton. Just let me know if you can see it, Kelly. We'll get
I
going.
see it great.
All right, so a lot of noise, a lot of headlines, a lot of opinions, a lot of uncertainty, and that's why we come here and we look at numbers and really decipher numbers so we can tell what actually is happening. I don't think anyone here who's been showing up thinks this is a broken market, a great market. It's more of a separating market. And markets like this, I think it's not just about being the busiest, it's about being logical and understanding what's going on so we can really have courage in going forward with our numbers. So Fulton County, April 20th, 693 active listings hit the market last week. Kelly, that's the biggest number we've had in over 10 weeks. I'd gather if I kept going back, it'd be more than that. And we closed 260 deals, 254 pending, 261 the week before, trending a little bit down in the pending, but the actives are coming up. What are you seeing in Fulton County, Kelly?
Yeah, I definitely think because we're all listing right now, and if you wanted to make that summer market, these are the weeks to do it. I like that the pennies are steady. I honestly think that number will tick up a little bit as we just play out the next couple of weeks because we're coming off the spring break and so forth. But it's to me, it's positive signs, spring market.
Love it. Love it. All right, we're going to scroll down to DeKalb. DeKalb 372. Again, the largest number we've seen in quite some time. 164 pending, which is, kind of right in line with what we've been having to have a couple bigger March months, but 164 is a pretty solid number. 157 closings. Rick Hill, I see you're on the call. Anything to add for DeKalb County? What do you see?
I see opportunity. I mean, the active jump, I mean, that's significant. So that means, if I'm working with buyers haven't found the perfect home, this is a great reason to call and go, hey, by the way, noticed a blip in opportunity. Would you like to sit down and discuss, how your goals have evolved and how I can serve you, especially someone that maybe a few months out or last year?
Fantastic. Last but not least, Kelly, I'll let you talk a little bit about Cobb County. 439, largest over 400
Ooh.
active category. We're seeing a trend, a little bit of a
Yeah,
trend.
there's more choices. Obviously, there is more choices.
Yeah,
And if you're going to make something happen by the summer, this is where the listings come on the market. So,
yeah,
um, and I love Rick's advice. Call your buyers, say, let's go see if there's more options out there for you.
100%,
And
100%.
even better than that, research the objects in your target market in advance and bring them specific. Hey, I found a little gold, a diamond in the rough or an opportunity, or bring specific things to them. Don't, leave it to generic chance. That's
And,
what pros do.
and I'm going to piggyback if you don't mind, because there are always those buyers, even in this market, that say that they're still looking for that needle in a haystack or that unicorn. And when you can go, hey, there are so many more on the market. If they can't find what they're looking for, then we may need to also adjust our criteria because as inventory grows, this is the market to determine what you want.
Spot on. Spot on. All right, we're going to jump into three articles today. The first one is kind of a general overview of the last 10 years and what that means, bring some perspective. Then we'll get into some more interesting stuff I'd like to say right after that. So, the first article is titled What 10 Years of Housing Data Reveals About the 2026 Market and Signals to Watch. So, this is basically an article around how the housing market, if you've been in it any length of time, just to understand it doesn't just take a turn at once, it follows a similar pattern. And the pattern it states down here is sellers push pricing, buyers follow for a while, then buyers begin to push back. And when pricing, behavior, and buyer response falls out of sync, the market has to adjust. Does that sound familiar, Kelly?
Oh, 100% it does.
Yeah. Have you seen that a few times throughout your career?
Mhm. least twice now.
Yeah. So basically, in turn, it says it's not a collapsing market, it's more of a negotiation best market, which is why we push so hard some of these classes and skill sets and skill-based market. But the article points out we should be watching three things at all times: pricing behavior, market response that said pricing behavior, and the friction between the buyer and the seller. So, in other words, instead of saying it's a good market, it's a bad market, it's a whatever market, what are sellers asking for, and are buyers actually following that, right? Because a home is worth what, Kelly?
What a buyer is willing to pay for it, obviously what a seller is willing to pay or sell it for.
Yeah.
So, and they come to that agreement. So, I want to, if it's okay, I want to hit on negotiation. I can let you finish, or I can hit on it now. You tell me,
You hit on
Matt.
it, you hit on negotiations. You go.
Okay. So I do think we're in a market that is negotiable most of the time. Now, obviously, some price homes are in a sweet area, they price it right, and boom, multiple offers. That is still happening. But for the ones that are not, what I have found is people do not, I find two things. Most consumers do not love negotiations. So, as a real estate professional, you have to become really skilled at getting the buyer and the seller to come together with the least amount of back and forth, because it is not most people's favorite thing to do, or else they would have gotten, most people are sweet people that have really sweet jobs and they don't love negotiations. And then I also see the other side is we give up too quickly. Meaning, if it didn't work out after first offer, a first presentation of an offer, or counter offer, it's like, well, let's just give up. Versus, no, 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 dig a little deeper on how you can get those two to come together, and everybody may have to give a little bit more. And that's where I found going on right now, especially when it comes to these. I think we may have an article going on about we still have a high level of deals not working out, and I think it's all negotiation skills. Well, and consultation skills, but which is negotiation skills too. So that being said, is really understanding that you need to come to a conclusion relatively quickly. We used to have this phrase that time kills all deals. Don't go back and forth a lot. Figure out how to come to an agreement relatively quickly, and your parties will be much happier for it.
Love it. Rick, would you add anything to that?
I would just say when markets are mixed and imbalanced, or, to their point, they use the term that the market is negotiating itself into rebalancing.
Yep.
And so I think this is when your expertise pays dividends, and being able to really convey a message and a narrative around the micro markets for the people that you serve, specifically to your clients' needs and desires. Your value is so much more valuable. I mean, it's invaluable. And so don't underestimate, expertise and timing. And sometimes, Kelly's right. I think when there's heat in the fire, don't let people, get cold or move around and move away from it. But at the same time, patience still can pay off. If houses are taking longer to sell, may not work on the first try. A few weeks later, check in. You never know.
This leads beautifully into the second article. It's like this was set up. So the first thing is really about negotiating the market and the trends. The second article is going to be, and it's labeled the around influence and trust. And it's all around the power of leading with influence in real estate sales. And what it really gets to the heart of that real estate is built on trust, real estate businesses, not persuasion. And the old pressure-based approach, which you guys probably know what that feels like, does not work in our environment anymore. Clients don't want to be pushed, they want to be guided. And this article does a really good job because the whole point of an agent's job is truly not to sell at all. A lot of people would disagree with me, and hopefully you'll hear me out. The whole point is that they teach and educate, and they ask better questions that helps the client make the best decision to move forward versus push versus pull. And that creates an environment of trust, and thus people who trust are more willing to work with you, and likability. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And then the second part that it really gets into is why salespeople fail, and this not good enough issue, self-doubt issue that we have in the real estate space right now. And a lot of agents, because they're too focused on whether they're good enough instead of whether they're helping enough. And I thought that was a really good frame. This is a two-part article. The first one's really around trust. The second one's really around not being good enough. And I think the not being good enough, I was just reading through it, and a lot of people say, oh, that's an inexperience thing. But our industry changes so fast in such a different environment that I think the not good enough thing can be even veteran agents who have been very productive their entire career. But now you're asking me to do social media and AI, right? And there's this feeling around not good enough. So I'll go over to Rick first and then Kelly on this. Where do you see Rick agents possibly losing trust the fastest, and how do you gain trust quickly with people?
To me, trust is revealing a need and then helping find solutions. It's not necessarily knowing everything, but having the resource at your avail so that you can provide, a lot of safety and security. I think fear is a far more powerful influence than opportunity. And it's easy for us as salespeople or as, let's just say, entrepreneurs to wake up and see opportunity because that's the space we live in. But to Kelly's point earlier, most people see opportunity as risk. And so I think job one is to ask enough questions to reveal their pain point and then support them with enough data and feedback that's their story, not yours. I'm also reminded that everyone wants to buy, no one wants to be sold. And the script flipped on that is just having them to self-discover their truth through great questions and interrogating deeper and thoughtfully to the point that they say something that resonates that you reinforce and give them the confidence to move through and past that element of fear. And so to me, it's very conversational and it's going 3 and 4 deep on questions and making sure that you've uncovered where their pain and fear points live so that you can create, again, a safe passage, if you will, to a great decision and an investment. And I think all of us knows that whole fear of, not knowing or being, having a crystal ball of perfection. I've been in this business now 30 years, and I can tell you there's not a home I've ever bought, peak or valley, that I didn't wish I still owned at some point, now. And so it's really hard to completely blow it if there's an appraiser involved, an inspector involved, and if they're buying the right house for all the right reasons. And so sometimes we get in our own way, over analyzing as opposed to helping them self-discover what real joy and opportunity looks like lifestyle wise.
Kelly, what would you add to that? And what do you think strong agents say differently when clients are hesitant? That's a question I want to know.
Yeah, actually, I don't know if you could say much better than what Rick just said. That was fantastic.
Thank
If a buyer is hesitant or a client is hesitant, I think it's always drawing them back to the reason and their motivation as to why they're buying, what is or why they're selling, and that's where we gently connect the dots for them or help them connect the dots. And so I think of the market as we develop two sets of skills as a real estate professional. This is why we tune in industry updates. So we really understand the market, we can study the market. And then the other time is we develop the skill of really learning and understanding people, how to listen better, how to hear their wants and needs better. And then when they have nuances, you can sit there and go, okay, I hear you're having some trepidation. And then I go, let's listen more. Tell me more. Let's explain that more. Let's explore that more. And being okay to go there with them. And then as you take that, you connect the dots going, okay, well, here in the market is how we're going to solve your trepidation. And I think if we develop those two sets of skills, that's us being the professional. We build trust. They will call you the rest of your, this is clients for life then. They'll call you for everything because they feel heard, they feel understood, they feel cared for, and they understand that you're constantly a student of the market. We're never mastered the market, we're always in mastery. And I feel that's how you build trust.
So stinking good.
Beautiful.
Really good, Kelly. Beautifully said. So, Rick and Kelly, how do you get better at asking questions? Both of you ask really good questions and don't let people off the hook. How do you get good at that? I'm assuming that just doesn't naturally, that did not naturally happen.
It's like everything is practice, and it's probably better to start practicing on your fellow colleagues. But if you stay, as we say, go back to my favorite, Keller Williams, the six personal perspectives, stay learning based. I am always in the mood of trying to learn more, understand when people say something, what do they actually mean by what they say? Just ask them because everybody has their own language too. And when I say something, it may mean something because it's in the context of the life I lived. And you may something because it's in the context of the life you lived. So if I stay curious, one of my other favorite phrases is, come from curiosity. If I just stay curious, and if I just put that banner, honestly, we should have that like kind of like our whiteboards we used to have or on our walls, come from curiosity. If I do everything from curiosity, it will solve probably like 80% of my struggles. And I think it's practice.
Love it,
And
Rick.
don't overcomplicate it. I think if at the onset it was brought up that, that people want to consume but don't want to be sold, the easiest
Mm-hmm.
way to eliminate fear of manipulation on the part of a potential prospect is to not make it about the purchase, make it about them and talk about things that are unrelated and to show sincere care and candor and trust. And then, again, I don't think this has to be this big scripted formula. And to Kelly's point, stay curious. And this goes out to the senior agents on the call, and me included. I think the older we get, sometimes we make assumptions about what people know and their experience. And I think break it down into the basics and make no assumptions and let them know that's your motive. I don't want to make assumptions about your skill level or capacity or knowledge. Is it okay if I ask a few questions? And my favorite used to be, or one of, was like, if you could wave a wand in the air and create this perfect next fill in the blank, it could be any aspect of life. What might it look like? And then just stop talking. There's a saying I learned from the book Fierce Conversations: ask a really good question and then let the silence do the heavy lifting. Silence is weird, but it's the most powerful weapon you have for self discovery.
And since we're on this topic, tonality. So if I want someone to talk, I get softer. I lower my voice. And I just come into, and I always like learned this. It's like you can say anything if you say it in that like the doctor voice, like going, I can tell you any news if I come to you in a softer, more, and I like to talk fast. So for me, it's very conscientious, slow down pace. Tonality is everything.
Love it. Love it. Great job. So, on the basis of trust, just real quick, simple model, and these guys are spot on. Ask more questions, be more cognitive of the response, and let the silence do the heavy lifting. But trust is if you've ever seen a triangle at Keller Williams, I would be shocked. But trust really comes to three things: authenticity, that's what that says if you can't read it, logic, and empathy. And this is called the trust triangle. And if you think of any kind of, I want to build trust with someone or a crowd or anything, authenticity, empathy, and logic should be at the top of your mind. And today, logic is why you're on this call to get data and to learn, which is telling the client or the person next to you that I know you can do it. Your reasoning and judgment are sound, right? And you're not just airy-fairy, you're actually pointing to logic or tactical things. Empathy is, I believe you care about me, which Rick and Kelly are doing a great job by asking deeper questions and just shutting up, which is powerful. Uh, you are showing people you care about them. And Rick talks a lot about likability and how important it is in everything we do. Believe it or not, people like to talk about themselves. And if you want to sound different, just go ask a question and shut up, and they will feel so different in that conversation than 99 conversations they had that day. They'll be like, why is Kelly different? It'll be that. It's weird. And then
Yeah.
authenticity is I experience the real you. And I think authenticity is even, dial times 10 in today's society, right? And only going to go more that direction. But how do people experience the real you? And part of this article, just wrapping up, was people have self-doubt and people doubt that they can do what they need to do to accomplish what they want to accomplish in this industry. And I'm here to tell you, usually I dress pretty nice, but I don't have it all figured out. And Rick, I know you're very successful, but do you have it all figured out?
The day I do, the day I realize how ignorant I am. I mean, the truth is, the more you know, I feel like the more you should be able to recognize opportunities to grow.
Yeah. Yep. And Kelly, I know you would conclude that we don't have it all figured out. We all have a curtain. When you pull back the curtain, we all have our issues and our struggles and our doubts, every single one of us. So when you know that and everybody experiencing that, just be raw and real with it. And at the end of the day, it really is attractive to people. Would you guys add anything to that?
It's so attractive when you people know that you're equally human and you have equal strengths and equal weaknesses. All they want to know is that you're going to go find the solution for them at some point. So it's so attractive to be authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know we're speaking to the converted. You guys get it. This is just a reminder. And we were strategically discussing today's call and wanted to go a little bit different direction than just X's and O's of data.
Hmm.
Hey
Yep.
guys, can I add that this is Stephen Scholl from the KW Decatur office. I everything we're saying is spot on. What I'd like to encourage all of us to do is also flip the script and do this with a co-op agent. I think co-oping right now is more important than anything. Um, so if your co-op agent is trusting you that you have the deal's best interest in mind, um, I think they're more likely to help you get to where you need to be, whether it's the seller side or the buyer side. I'm finding that a lot right now with the deals that I'm managing. And also, again, with the trust and the professionalism, like you're no longer being that bully agent anymore that tries to push things through because, you're representing your buyers or sellers to the best of your abilities. We get it. We all know you are. And that's what we're trying to do as well. So, just stepping back a little bit, being a human to a co-op agent, I think is going to go so far right now in this market, because that's what I'm seeing personally. And I'm literally having agents come back to me saying, hey, we've got another offer. You seem like a much better agent to deal with. We'd like to go with you if you can get your buyers to come here. And it feels so much better to me going to my guy saying, hey, obviously I'm representing you to my best abilities. I think we're going to be able to win this just because I'm a normal human, and trying to get this thing done for everybody.
That's brilliant. Man, that's
So
so good, Stephen. So good. I know years of working the streets and showing buyers there are certain signs that I swear I'd yell out, look, there's a zebra over there and speed up to get past a particular sign that I knew was going to be just horrifyingly difficult. And then there's signs that weren't on my list of people that I've had great experience. I'd lock them up and look it up on the spot to make sure I didn't miss their house. And
Hmm.
that's just human. Like be the kind of person everyone wants to work with. And that doesn't mean misrepresenting or not being, respectfully tenacious.
And Stephen, thank you for sharing that because that was going through my mind when I was talking about negotiating. Because I also feel most agents, co-op agents, do not, they haven't had to also help explain things deeper to their own client. So
Hmm.
sometimes we are coaching the other agent along the way to help them come to an agreement with us because
Hmm.
this is past couple of years the only time we've really been negotiating for in such a long period of time. So I appreciate you really bringing up the fact that we're equally there for the co-op agent because that is the best interest of our client.
Hmm.
Well, and you want them to fight to show and sell and work with you because it matters.
Absolutely.
And you get one shot at reputation, right?
Absolutely.
Realtors are highly communicative.
yeah, so good. I mean, I think, and it's such a small environment that if you're productive, the same people start coming back around to showing and working with you in the future. One little tidbit of advice I got early on in my career was if you do have a brilliant transaction and if you are sitting at the closing table with an agent who was amazing, doesn't matter what company, I think Rick, you gave this advice, was why
Very
not
good.
share that that other agent on the other side of the table in front of their clients was the reason that they won that deal.
I do it all the
And
time.
I think
It's
it's one of the
Always,
huge,
one,
huge.
Stephen, I'm
It's
seeing
always.
like
you. I know Stephen does
putting
it.
money in the bank. It's
Hmm.
Yeah.
but it's got to be sincere and back to that whole authentic piece.
Yep.
If they sit, let their clients know that they picked an incredible agent and they should refer all of their business to them. And it was, they did it for all the right reasons and they were incredibly loyal and hardworking and responsive. So brilliant
Thank
reminder, Matt.
Matt, thank you for reminding us because I've always done that. I look across the table at that other client and just say, you've picked the best agent. it pays off dividends for the long term. You will always be the first person they call when it's a multiple offer scenario, all the above. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
We're in this together. That's the bottom line. And there's enough for everybody.
All right, final article, guys. My move up moment, raising your hand to lead. This article just flows from the trust to identity, and it's really about the author making a point that a long time ago he thought that production would create pure confidence and authority, but over time it didn't. And he realized that being productive was not actually leading. So I love this highlighted version here of him driving home, productive year after year, but still struggling with identity. And if this resonates with one person here, it's worth the article share. But he says the difference wasn't production or experience, it was actually his posture. And that the most influential agents, the most big time agents, do more than just close deals, they shape conversations. And leadership, he says later on in the article right now, isn't actually about being louder. It's not about branding harder. It's actually about being more grounded and useful and willing to raise our hands. And I think we do that very well at Keller Williams, which is, we go and teach, we go and lead, we go and develop. But production doesn't create authority, leadership does. So, Kelly, what do you think stepping into leadership looks like in a practical way for an agent? What would that look like, and why would they do it? You're a super successful agent. Rick, you were too. Why did you step into leadership? How did that help you as an agent? What's a practical way they could use this?
I think the first thing, if they haven't stepped into leadership, the first thing any agent should do is just raise your hand to help out a fellow agent. So if it's a matter of strategizing, masterminding with them, and then of course certainly teaching within the local market center, the biggest thing you can do is you're going to get outside of your own box. And when you start thinking outside your box, it actually gives you more perspective, which translates to you becoming a better professional and better for your clients. So I've just even sitting through and helping other agents and strategizing with them. I've had far more ideas that I didn't realize were the good news and bad news of having a tunnel vision kind of a person is that it keeps me focused. But the bad news is I didn't see all the other ways I could do things that would have leveled me up into a whole nother stratosphere. And so I think the best thing to do, mentor someone, or get with a fellow peer at your own level and go, how can we help each other out? And because there's plenty of business to go around. And in doing so, it will actually get your mind thinking more creatively, and you'll learn how to like quantum leap to new levels in a shorter amount of time.
Spot on. Rick, you're a big leadership guy. You've taken top agents through leadership over many years. Why'd you do that at all? Why wasn't it just all on the X's and O's in production?
I just think the world needs more leadership and, guiding light, but not because you're manipulating, but because you're connecting at the human level and asking better questions. I think questions is the best form of leadership, especially, obviously compelling questions. Kelly nailed it. If you want to learn something at the next level, commit to teach it at some point in the future. Your subconscious brain will approach subliminal messaging and opportunities differently, and it'll illuminate, pathways to enlightenment. I think when you commit to something, especially when integrity matters and, coming from, again, integrity and just bringing real value to other people, there's an element of reward that comes knowing that we're all mirrors. Whatever you're putting out's coming back. I think it was, I had a leader once say, "Are you picking up what I'm putting down?" And it's felt like such a 60s thing to say, but that's what you want, people picking up what you're putting down. And the thing is, we're all mirrors. So it's leadership is nothing more than influence. And influence isn't manipulation or pushing an agenda. It's asking better questions so they self discover their truth. And then you get to save the day and help them solve the riddle. And that's the ultimate form of leadership.
Spot on. All right, Kelly, any last words?
I tell you what, this is the time. Go out there, go make some deals happen. And thank you, Stephen, for bringing that up. Let's be kind to our fellow co-op agents. These are going to be your future best friends to get everything closed.
Spot on.
Yeah. There's a correlation between the number of meaningful conversations you have today and this week and the income and the life experience you have as a real estate agent. So how many, you make that the challenge? How many meaningful, heartfelt, authentic conversations can you stage, and how deep can you go with your questions to illustrate absolute disproportionate interest in other human beings and watch the magic happen?
Love it. Kelly, Rick, thanks for going a different approach with me today. Y'all have a great, make it a great week. Talk to you soon.
Good to see
Bye.
everybody.